Hi, I'm Rob, and in this Gems of War video, I'm going to take a look in this Soulforge and tell you what I think is good and bad in there. First of all though, let's take a look at this weekly event troop, the Brass Drake. Sword's Edge, ultra rare. Let's take a look. Thunder Belch. Right, it does a massive burp and then converts all purple gems to blue lightning gems. So converts a thunder to lightning, which is cool, I think. Anyway, converts all purple gems to blue lightning gems, so effectively converting purple to blue with the effect of lightning gems, and that will cause a lightning strike across the screen, picking up that mana across the entire width at the same time. And if Dragon Commander is on my team, explode gem. Second part of that spell is a bit weak, in fact it's a bit rubbish. Exploding one gem is a very small reward for being forced into having a particular troop on your team to make it work. Anyway. She is the Dragon Commander, and it is a dragon, so she commands it to burp and explode a gem. Anyway, starts battles with 50% mana if you have that third trait. That's pretty good, and reduced damage from skulls by 30% is not too bad either, but okay, nothing spectacular at all. Pretty average, 5 out of 10 for you, matey boy, with your massive burp, nothing too fantastic. But as ever, take it up to mythic level if you can, always worth doing. It's going to give you another troop to take up to power level 20, which is going to aid your kingdoms in the long run, eventually, at some point. Anyway, completely unrelated to dragons and beast, what did the two pieces of bread say on their wedding day? It was loaf at first sight. Oh yeah. Oh, and by the way, when you have a bladder infection, you're in trouble. Right, so let's jump into the Soulforge then, and first up is weapons and Shield of the Edge. As ever, all these ones that are here all the time will be in my Soulforge extra video, and I'll put a link in the description below. First up, Shield of the Edge. Remove all blue gems with no effect. Deal magic-based damage to an enemy, boosted by gems removed. If the enemy is from Sword's Edge, or if the battle is in Sword's Edge, deal double damage. So kind of the anti-Sword's Edge weapon. Blue is the colour Sword's Edge troops like the most, and by removing them, you are hindering their ability to gain mana. Just make sure none of your team uses blue at the same time to make that more viable. So not essential, but can be handy in the correct situation. King Crusher. Explodey summony weapon. Explodes magic +1 blue gems. Grants a random status effect to all Sword's Edge allies. Then summons a Sword's Edge troop. Very good, I do like those weapons, very handy indeed. These ones are here all the time, and in my Soulforge extra video, as I said, the Edged Blade. Kind of handy for a sword to have an edge, I would suggest, but hey, it is called what it is. And it deals magic-based damage to an enemy, boosted by Sword's Edge allies. Then creates a mix of 6 blue and yellow gems for each Sword's Edge ally. Uses green and brown, generates blue and yellow, so make sure at least a couple of your other troops use blue and yellow to make the most of that lovely mana. Cane Sword. Doesn't know if it wants to be a cane or a sword, so it's a bit of both. Does magic-based damage to an enemy boosted by knight allies. Then creates a mix of 6 blue and red gems for each knight ally. So similarly to the last one, this one uses purple and brown now and generates blue and red. Just make sure a couple of your troops at least use blue and or red to benefit from that nice mana. Ulf's Wolves. Does a true damage to an enemy based on your magic, and if they're undead, eliminate all their armor. Yeah, so fairly situational versus the opponent, but again, can come in handy, but far from essential. Speaking of essential, Blade of Nefertari. Cool weapon, does damage to an enemy, and if the enemy uses purple mana, death mark them. So that's quite handy on its own, but this is one of the ones which is kind of essential to pick up today. And the reason is one of the weapons which is part of the recipe for a Duskbringer. Duskbringer, a really cool weapon, does magic-based damage to all enemies boosted by purple allies and enemies. Death mark all enemies, and if there are 13 or more brown gems, gain 2 magic. But if you look at the requirements for this, this is one of the things you need, the Blade of Nefertari. So make sure you craft that today, because otherwise it could be a long time before you end up waiting for this to come back in the Soulforge again, and that might be the only thing you are waiting for to craft Duskbringer. So important to pick up the Blade of Nefertari today, if you can. Anything else? What we got? Ebon's Hammer. Quite a few weapons today. Another explodey summoning weapon. This one explodes blue gems, magic +1, grants a random status effect to all knights, then summons a knight troop. Do you like these? Always worth getting, very handy. Always good to have a summon in things like Guild Wars sometimes, really useful. Flail of Guard, another explodey summoning weapon. They're everywhere. This one explodes magic +1 blue gems, grants a random status effect to all Sword's Edge allies, then summon a Sword's Edge troop. And has a couple of cool upgrades as well, like shielding is good. Very nice indeed. You cast this and you get a barrier. Really handy. That one has the same as well. Any more for any more? Yeah, another one. Mortal Chain. Another exploded. What's going on with these explodey weapons? Explodes magic +1 blue gems this time. Grants a random status effect to all human allies. Then summon a human troop. And again, that does have shielding. So yeah, a lot of explodey summoning weapons here today. Right, so I think that is it for the weapons. Yes, but absolutely make sure you craft that blade of Nefertari if you can. Essential for the part of the recipe for Duskbringer. Alright, let's take a look at the troops. Have a little look through these summoning stone ones, especially if you're a newer player. See if there's anybody in there which you haven't got. And if there is somebody there that you're missing, then definitely craft a few summoning stones and see if you can pick them up. Let's take a look at these mythic troops. See who we got today. Sagittarian is here. Does magic-based true damage to an enemy, then steal either 10 magic or 20 life or 20 armor from the enemy. So, yeah, not great. It's yeah, it's more good legendary than decent mythic, to be honest. But it is what it is, and it's not that great. Mambasira does magic-based damage to 6 random enemies. Not too much of a fan of these ones that actually do a random amount of damage, and it's normal damage as well. The exception to this rule is Tina 9000. She's superb, but yeah, if it hits at the low end of that quite consistently, it can be a bit naff. Yeah, nothing too fantastic about Mambasira, unfortunately. Mother of Darkness, not too bad, better than the other two though. Does true damage to an enemy and the enemy below, so true damage is good, and it's boosted by purple gems, and if an enemy dies, create 12 purple gems. Otherwise, summon 2 Sisters of Shadows. Now, it's a bit of a weird troop in a way, because some of the traits work well with her spell, like Inflict Bleed. Bleed is true damage, so that actually does work well with her spell, but the second part of her spell, not so much so, because if an enemy dies, creates purple gems, which she doesn't use, so you need to have purple troops on your team to benefit from that. And if they don't die, so it does the other part of the spell, summon 2 Sisters of Shadows. 2 Sisters of Shadows, they don't do true damage, so it kind of, they just become meat shields in a way. They don't actually help the team that much, but hey, it is what it is. Who else we got? Draakulis. Steals life from all enemies. That is it, but that's actually quite good, because stealing life, in this case it's looks like magic +5, from all enemies is effectively true damage, and he adds that to his own. So it makes him a lot more tanky at the same time as taking away from the enemy. So not too bad. Pretty decent. Now onto the legendaries. I usually say don't craft legendaries from the Soulforge, because they're much easier to get from chests. Save your diamonds and stuff for mythics. But just seen Yao Guai, and he's the exception to the rule. He's by far the best troop here today. He's basically a mythic in disguise, but like Tesla. And is a basically superb and essential troop. So if you don't have him, then you should pick him up today. Does magic +2 damage to the first 2 enemies, boosted by his life, then steal 4 magic from both enemies, and transform all purple gems to red. And he uses red so he can charge up and do it again. And quite often when he casts this back to back, it can mean instant death for the enemy. And yeah, really good troop. And the traits work well with this spell as well. Steal 3 life from the first enemy when matching red gems, and is also immune to mana burn, mana drain, and mana steal, making him a complete pain for the opposition, literally. So yeah, Yao Guai, absolutely pick him up today if you can. The other ones, we have Gloomleaf, kind of an okay troop. Do like the fact that it's impervious, so it can sit up top sometimes, and also reflect 50% of skull damage. and steals magic-based armor, same as your magic, and 5 attack from all enemies. The trouble with that is it can be a 1 cast wonder sometimes, 2 casts at absolute best, and it can be a bit of a pain, but it's not actually essential. Who have we got else? Who else is there? Volfire Hunter. Choose one. Deal magic-based true damage to an enemy boosted by blue gems, or deal the same amount of splash damage to an enemy, again boosted by blue gems, and gain 3 mana when matching 4 or more gems. And last we have First Claw Mahez. Eliminates magic +1 attack and armor from the first 2 enemies boosted by my attack, then give 3 to 8 mana to all other allies. So again, kind of useful in certain situations, but nothing fantastic, unlike the awesome Yao Guai. So, who gets my awesome, super coveted, not Mythic of the Week? Well, I'd love to give it to Yao Guai, but he's not actually officially a Mythic, and there's no way it's going to Mambasira or Sagittarian. So that leaves us Mother of Darkness, who is okay, but not spectacular. And Draakulis is not spectacular either, but he's the best out of an okay bunch. Like, Draakulis and Mother of Darkness are both okay. If you've already got Draakulis and you need Mother of Darkness to progress a kingdom, something like that, then she's definitely worth crafting. But yep, Draakulis gets my Mythic of the Week. He's basically Dracula with horns and steals life from all enemies. Goes around sucking their blood, taking it away from them, giving it to himself. Can be very good in the right team. So there it is. There's the Soulforge video for today. I'll be back later on today with my event team, Underspire team, epic trial strategy, and that kind of stuff. It's Manic Monday, and I've even got to try and watch the rest of the Super Bowl highlights at some point in my day. Wow, busy old Monday. But there it is. Thanks for watching. Catch you again next time. Bye for now.